These representatives today here sitting because they're coming not out of Europe, so you all come from different parts of the world. So this is a very, very special panel. So I'm very happy and that you're here and talk about your initiatives within your countries. And I would like to introduce Mr. Anton Eckersley, the moderator of the session for right now, and he's the International Relations Director of APM Genius. So I give the word over to you, Anton.
Great, thank you very much indeed. Merhaba ve hoş geldiniz. So hello and welcome to the final session. We heard from our Latvian colleague this morning that the session before lunch was always the toughest session. I would disagree. I think it's the session after lunch that is always the hardest. And to warm us up a bit, I want to just do a quick survey. So a quick survey by hand. How many people here love Turkish and Azerbaijani food? Put your hand up. That's great. So that's most of you. And you will know that with Turkish food, the sweetest dish, the most calorific dish, is always served at the end of the meal. And so it is with our panel today. We have the sweetest content and the most calorific content at the end of the day. So a round of applause that they have made it through lunch. Now, this is a special group, and it's special because we've heard over the last day or two that NEETs is a global phenomenon. But we heard yesterday from our colleagues in the OECD and in the ILO that NEETs are different. There are some differences in low and middle income countries, and there are also some similarities. We know that demographics is a particular issue. The population currently is around 8 billion. In just 30 years, that's going to be growing to 10 billion people. And many of those, many of the new population will be from Africa and from South Asia. So the question of NEETs is an immediate and important one for these countries. We know that for many of their economies, they're shifting rapidly from agriculture into services and into production. And I think we forget just how difficult that is for generations to shift, the skill systems to shift from one mode of production to the other. We know that with the future of work and with digitalization, the greening of the economy, all these things are causing huge tensions in the global north. In the global south, in many respects, those issues are going to be even more problematic. So we're going to take a deeper dive this afternoon into some of the challenges and some of the solutions that countries in the global south are facing. And WAPES has spared absolutely no expense to get a stellar group of speakers here from all corners of the world, from Africa, from South America, and from Asia Pacific. I would like, first of all, to welcome our speaker from Senegal. And I will find my piece here. Yes. And may I introduce Dr. Abdoulaye DiattaSecretary, who is Secretary General of the National Agency for the Promotion of Youth Employment, or ANPEJ. And he's going to speak about employer engagement to support NEETs. Mr. Diatta has held a number of senior positions, including Head of Strategic Monitoring in the President's Office and Service Coordination for ANPEJ, before being appointed Secretary General. Particularly, he's an expert in education and specializing in e-learning, and that's of particular relevance to this particular cohort, as we know. He set up a training and communications department, and also he's responsible for the creation of regional training centers for education professionals. So again, we've talked about the importance of linking education to employment, skills to employability this morning. He's a professor of physical sciences and holds a master's degree in applied physics and an MBA in management. Next to him, we have Patriwirawan. I nearly got that right. Patrick is director for the Bureau of Local Employment, and he's going to talk about investing in decent jobs for youth, shaping the future of work, and he's going to give us a Filipino perspective on that. And in particular, I think from an Asia-Pacific perspective, the Philippines really has some really interesting stuff happening there. Patrick has a background in labor research and policy, including labor displacement, labor relations, unemployment protection, and crucially overseas employment. One thing we haven't really talked about is the migration issue. So that's outward migration rather than inward migration relative to that. Next to him, I'm delighted to introduce you to Mr. Daniel Pérez, who is currently the National Director of Employment in Uruguay. He's held a number of related social policy positions in health, education, social benefits, adolescents in conflict with the law, and care. So the latter two, I think in particular, are very, very pertinent to the conversations that we have today. He has worked as a lecturer in tertiary education and in teacher training. He is specifically a representative for Uruguay on the Mercosur Commission on vocational training, public employment services, and employment growth. So he's also got a global perspective there as well. Last but not least, my wonderful colleague from Cambodia, who I have had the pleasure of meeting on a number of occasions, Mr. Sophearith, or as I call him, Lo-san, because it's considerably easier, and he is deputy head of the Cambodian National Employment Agency, or NEA, and he's going to talk to us more about NEETs and the challenges and solutions in a Cambodian context, which I think you will find particularly interesting, given the huge changes that Cambodia has been experiencing over the last 10 years. He's held a number of senior positions in the Cambodian administration, specifically around strike resolution, minimum wage setting within the garment sector. Mr. Lo holds a BA in Management Information Systems and a Master's in Public Policy from the KDI School of Korea. Great. Well, I am now very happy to pass the floor to Mr. Diatta. Monsieur Diatta, la parole est à vous.
Thank you very much, Anton. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to thank you for being here right after the lunch to share the experience of Senegal, and I would like to thank our friends and our partners from WAPES. I would like to thank our colleagues from Azerbaijan, from Azerbaijani PS and Turkish PS, and I would like to thank our colleagues from the Turkish Ministry of Labor. They gave us the possibility to be here and share our experience that might be beneficial. We have very good relations between Senegal and Turkey. In this afternoon, I will talk to you about program that have been established by the Senegalese government following the COVID-19 crisis. It's in 2021, after the pandemic, that the program was created. I will talk to you about the context of Senegal. We have 18 million of people living in Senegal. We have a very young population in our country. 62% of our population is composed by youth. There is a high level of there is a lack of electricity, and also we have a ratio of school enrollment quite high, but there is a dropping out in the schools for different reasons, and dropping out can reach up to 21%. We are also facing some inadaptation situation, inadaptation to the vocational trainings, and we have a low level of employability regarding in the youth population. We have a very vital and dynamic informal sector, and 90% of youth work in the informal sector. This is that situation who creates the unemployment. Unemployment rate is 24.1%. I'm giving you the numbers of BIT. I'm sharing the statistic of BIT. At the rural areas, we have 29% of unemployment, and urban zones 19%. Women are much more affected by unemployment than men. Following the uprising of March 2021, we created a specific program to find jobs for young people. We have different pillars on which this program is constructed. We have a special recruitment strategy. We have public projects of community interest that we are using. We have also measures to support private initiatives, some companies, so they can recruit young people in our country. We also had a couple of reforms. It's a program built on 3 years. We benefited from 450 billions. It was equal to 27 millions of euros. In that program, under this program, in that strategy, PES plays an important role. They are working to enroll and identify needs, because needs are the biggest population. The numbers that we are sharing do not reflect the reality. The real numbers are even higher. And therefore, we created a physical local system at the department's level, so the service provision can be as closer to the beneficiaries. And we also created a virtual system with the design of a labor market information system. It gives us the possibility to register them, to enroll them electronically. I would like to thank Emploi France, because they helped us to construct this information system. You can see here the trajectory of job seeker, when the job seeker is coming to ANPEJ, there is a counselor that will speak with the job seeker, and we will identify his profile, because we have to know this person so we can decide what kind of support we can provide to this person. According to the needs, identify the person, the job seeker will be directed whether to a company, to a financing institution, or to a vocational training center. So this electronic system helped us to put in touch these young people with different resources. 50,000 66,500 job has been created for 50,000 needs. Almost 75 beneficiaries benefited from our trainings, and we financed 140,000 projects. You can also say here that the need that we can detect on the ground is much more higher than what we could offer. Regarding the public comment, 18% is reserved to the national section. They can use credit loans for hotels, bars, restaurants. Beneficiaries should order from local producers. We also signed some conventions between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Craftsmanship, and the tables are constructed. The tables are constructed here. We also have some incitation measures in order to so we were getting and producing this furniture on the spot, and some Senegalese workers have been involved in the construction of doors, of tables. We had a shared resource centers. This is kind of a cooperation where workers and craftsmen can get together and work together by using the equipment offered in the center. We also worked on the curriculum. We adapted the curriculum of these training centers, vocational training centers, for different profession of craftsmanship. Regarding the perspectives, it is important to underline the fact that Senegal is a country who discovered gas and oil very recently. It means that it means that we should think about some problems. We have the compulsory education system. Every child should be enrolled in a school starting from 6 years old. However, we have a lot of dropping out because we do not have sufficient teachers in the school. With the income coming from oil and gas, maybe we will be able to stop this dropping out problem. We will also make an awareness raising activity targeting irregular migrants who wants to migrate irregularly toward other countries. And we will also seize and use the opportunities offered by the local content of exploitation of oil and gas. We will work on anything related to vocational training and education, so all these young people can remain and stay in Senegal and they will not be willing to migrate elsewhere. We also have reforms that are trying to put a sense and a homogeneity to the different reforms and policy measures that we have, and these measures that are targeting the young people.
By two things. Firstly, how amazingly coordinated a lot of the services are. There's a clarity about assessing what the challenges are. There's a clarity around the programs and the measures that are needed, and there's a clarity around evaluation. If I may, I'd like to focus on two areas that are particularly interesting. One is around job creation. We talked about that yesterday, the ability or the inability of countries to actually generate employment. You specifically talked about the ability to what I would call import or reduce imports and to encourage local manufacturing. So import substitution, I think, is really what I'm saying there. Could you go into a little bit more detail about the link between import substitution and how you are encouraging employment for NEETs?
Thank you very much. I think that, in fact, the import is related to a low capacity of production in the country. Regarding the information, we have a lot of traders. They can go abroad and they can gain some added value. But these people, they will never recruit people, because traders, they will never recruit people. They will just pay their rent and they will buy and they will get their commission. But they will be the only one benefiting from the trade that they are making. Imports on some materials have been blocked by the government because these are products, materials that can be produced in Senegal. Because production in Senegal creates employment. To employ people, we have to train people. We have to work on the quality, and we have to provide coherent services. This is the approach that has been used in my country. Regarding furnitures, we did that basically, and in hotels, we did that. For instance, in a hotel, generally all the napkins were bought from abroad. The government forbid the import of these napkins, so the local production can take over. Thank you.
So I'm seeing here in particular that artisans, what I would call micro and small enterprises, are being developed and encouraged. In some countries, in most countries, I think, there's a challenge engaging micro and small enterprises to work with NEETs, to support them with either training or with internships. How have you got around that problem? What's your secret sauce in engaging small and micro enterprises to work with NEETs?
Small companies, we created a fund. We call it National Convention State Employer. The fund was of 1 billion of CFA, and when the uprising took place, the state multiplied this fund by 15. So 15 billions of CFA. The state was telling to the company, recruit the young person, and we will share the salary. 40% of the salary are provided by the state and 60% by the employer. So the employer can gain human resources, but also they will pay them less. This is a measure that we used. 14,000 young people benefited from this convention between the state and the employers. This is really magical. Thank you.
We're going to hear from Patrick now about the experience in the Philippines, and I think you again will be very impressed by what's happening there. Thank you, Patrick. You've already broken the audience.
Thank you. To my fellow panelists and panel moderator, Anton, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank our colleagues from WAPES for having the Philippine Department of Labor and Employment present and share with you how the Philippines is assisting youth who are not in education, employment, or training. Before I start with my presentation, just to give you a background of what my office does. The Bureau of Local Employment is one of the program managers under the Department of Labor and Employment, and we handle 4 program areas. We handle youth employability programs, public employment services, labor market information systems, and of course, local employment regulations. And so today I'll be discussing to you how our programs are addressing the challenges of our youth needs. So youth employment programs in the Philippines play a crucial role in addressing challenges faced by the country's young workforce. Youth employment programs in the Philippines focus on equipping young people with skills and competencies needed to meet the demands of the job market. This includes not only technical skills, but also soft skills like communication, problem solving, and teamwork. Training programs, workshops, and vocational courses are often provided to enhance employability. Labor market information systems and public employment services are essential tools for matching job seekers with suitable employment opportunities. These systems help in providing up-to-date information about job openings, skills and demand, and career prospects. Youth employment programs use these resources to connect young job seekers with appropriate employers and facilitate better job placements. These programs also recognize that not all youth will pursue traditional wage employment. Some may prefer self-employment or entrepreneurship. As a result, these programs offer support in the form of grants, training, and mentorship to help young entrepreneurs start their businesses, fostering economic independence and sustainability. The Philippine youth employment landscape is evolving, with emerging opportunities in sectors like gig economy, healthcare, green jobs, and solidarity economy. Programs are designed to prepare young people for these sectors by providing them relevant training and guidance. To ensure effectiveness and relevance of these programs, it's important to involve young people in their design, implementation, and evaluation. This engagement ensures that the programs meet the actual needs and aspirations of the youth, increasing their motivation to participate and succeed. Youth employment programs aim for inclusivity by reaching out to marginalized and disadvantaged youth, including those from rural areas or with disabilities. Collaboration with various stakeholders such as the government, agencies, NGOs, and private sector is crucial for program success. These partnerships can provide additional resources, expertise, and job opportunities. The youth employability programs have contributed considerably to the reduction of vulnerability and poverty in the Philippines. Considering that high poverty incidence areas are given priority, in terms of program implementation. Further, ensuring equal access to opportunities for both male and female youth is crucial. This includes ensuring that job openings, training, or internship programs are not discriminated against based on gender. And so all these strategies are encapsulated or identified in our recently formulated Labor and Employment Plan, 2023 to 2028. Under the new administration, we have identified 3 program priority areas. And priority area 1 focuses on employment, which is on maximizing productive, remunerative, freely chosen, and sustainable work and employment opportunities. Under this priority area, we have identified 2 strategic outcomes. One is on increasing employability, and the second is on expanding access to employment and work opportunities. And under these strategic outcomes, we have, of course, identified specific action points that we need to make sure we are able to realize within the medium term. That includes developing up-to-date and adaptable educational and training programs aligned with emerging trends, including skills and jobs in green and digital economy. It also includes embedding gender and green skills in our training standards and curricula, establishing methods for inclusive participation and equal access to education and skills development programs. Under expanding access to employment and work opportunities, we need to ensure that we're integrating and improving employment facilitation services, including career development support and sector-specific job fairs. And of course, tying up or integrating or linking our senior high school graduates with micro, small, and medium enterprises for potential employment and aid youth entrepreneurial ventures. And finally, of course, intensifying participation in employment programs for youth, the marginalized, disadvantaged, freelance, gig, economy, and vulnerable sectors, and in remote areas. Just to provide you with a picture of how we are operationalizing all the programs of the department, particularly focusing on employment, we have our full cycle integrated employment intervention. And in this framework, you'll see here the different types of customers or clients that our public employment service offices actually cater to. And you will see there, of course, our clients, which includes the displaced workers, and of course, youth NEET and out-of-school youth, women, persons with disabilities, and the rest of these clients. All these go through different types of public employment programs and services. We provide here a menu of all our programs and services grouped either as an active labor market policy or a part of our labor market information system. And we show here just a number of programs, as I've mentioned earlier, on youth employability programs, on public employment services, including career development support, and of course, our labor market information systems. All these are geared towards making sure that all our customers and clients will be able to have gainful employment. To help us visualize this framework, we provide a picture of the different life stages an individual would go through. And of course, we make sure that all our potential future job seekers would be able to finish education. And from of course, getting educational interventions, they would be able to transition and enter the labor market, finding or landing a particular job. All this with the help of our career development support providers or CDS providers. And we have them across different life stages, starting or beginning with during education. We have their guidance counselors, career advocates, and job placement office managers who are providing information on what career paths or opportunities are available for our students or future job seekers. And then once they enter the labor market, once they become NEET, the day after they graduate, they already become NEET. So our PESO managers provide them youth employability programs, including later on I will discuss the 3 different youth employability programs in the Philippines, and give them, of course, opportunities to make them more employable and address skills gap so that they are able to land or find a job. And of course, once they find a job, it's important to maintain to improve progress in their own chosen professions and, of course, get promotion and increase their employability, increase their income earning ability, and that in any instances where they will be displaced, and if reskilling or upskilling will be needed, the cycle would continue as seen in the diagram. And so in my last slide, let me share with you some of the programs that we have in the Department of Labor and Employment, particularly in the Bureau of Local Employment. So prior to COVID-19 pandemic, the Philippines had a strong labor market with its key employment indicators signaling a vibrant labor market, which can be attributed to concrete policies and reforms from previous administrations. However, COVID pandemic brought the country into a recession, registering record high unemployment rate and negative impacts on productivity, poverty, and structural transformation. And so groups in vulnerable situations like women, youth, children, persons with disabilities, and poorer communities were hit the hardest. But the main challenges faced by the Filipino youth in increasing their employability includes the following. First is on slow school-to-work transition, which can be attributed to factors such as competitive job market, limited job openings, and the time it takes for young graduates to find suitable positions. This led to prolonged period of financial dependence and a sense of frustration or disillusionment among young people who are eager to enter the workforce. Furthermore, the pandemic has significantly impacted the education sector in the workforce in the Philippines, as many students, especially those in rural and low-income areas, do not have access to the necessary technology for online learning. This has resulted in a significant learning gap. The shift to online learning has highlighted existing inequalities in access to quality education. Students from affluent families and urban areas are more likely to have the resources for online learning, while those in marginalized communities face greater challenges. Of course, the rise of youth NEET. This phenomenon occurs due to a variety of reasons, including lack of access to quality education, discouragement from unsuccessful job searches, or other socioeconomic barriers. Being NEET can lead to a loss of skills, reduced future earning potential, and social and psychological challenges. Skills mismatch, of course, remains a perennial concern amidst alignment of skills demand associated with the country's economic structure and skill supply, reflecting educational attainment of the workforce. And of course, changing demographics in the workplace. Young Filipino workforce is experiencing shifts in demographics, which factors like increased diversity and evolving work experiences. This impacts how organizations hire, train, and retain employees. For the youth, this can lead to increased competition for entry-level positions, as older individuals may choose to stay in the workforce longer. However, with the swift action from the government, the country already entered its recovery phase with positive momentum in the labor market due to improved health situations and full opening of the economy. And so looking at the September 2023 labor force survey, youth employment rate, of course, dropped to 86.9% in September from 88.5% in the same period last year, 87.8% in August of 2023. Among the employed youth, 9.1% were underemployed, and this was lower than the reported youth underemployment rate of 12.4% in September 2022 and 9.7% in August of 2023. So the Philippine Department of Labor and Employment through the Bureau of Local Employment takes an active role in implementing programs that keep the youth in school, acquire necessary skills to boost their employability, and allow their seamless transition from school to productive employment. And so on the right side, in terms of the initiatives that we're doing in the department, we provide or we show here some of the programs that we implement. First is the Special Program for Employment of Students, or SPES. It's an employment bridging program which aims to provide short-term employment to poor students, out-of-school youth, and dependents of displaced or would-be displaced workers aged 15 to 30 years old. And so this program is implemented during summer or Christmas breaks to augment the family's income and help ensure that beneficiaries are able to pursue their education. So the primary objective of SPES is to make sure that our out-of-school students are able to finish their education. Next is on Job Start Philippines. So Job Start Philippines prepares at-risk youth aged 18 to 24 years old for the world of work by reducing job search period and improving their employability through a full-cycle employment facilitation, which includes life skills training done by our public employment service offices, technical training done by our partner private sector companies, and of course, paid internship during within 3 months. And the program is also designed to increase the capacity of our public employment service offices, particularly in conducting life skills training and other training interventions for our beneficiaries. We also have Government Internship Program, or GIP, which is an internship program that runs for 3 to 6 months, offered for individuals aged 18 to 30 years old. And the aim is to provide opportunities and engage beneficiaries to serve the general public in government agencies, projects and programs at the national and local levels. We also have Career Development Support Program. It intends to provide career development support services to individuals in addressing gaps in employability dimensions. It also aims to assist individuals to find the right job, identify appropriate upskilling or reskilling interventions, and progress in their chosen career path. And finally, we have assistance to our first-time job seekers. Through a recently issued law, the Philippines now provides assistance to first-time job seekers, particularly by waiving fees for pre-employment documentary requirements, especially required by our private sector companies. And so our youth employability and public employment services are strongly hinged upon the collaboration and cooperation among our social partners, our public employment service offices, job placement officers, and even higher education institutions, ensuring a seamless transition for students from education to the workforce. Initial feedback from young people indicates positive response to the program's emphasis on soft skills and social integration. Participants also report feeling better prepared for the job market, which provide communication skills and better understanding of the workplace dynamics. I think that's my last slide. Thank you and good afternoon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. And again, I think you'll agree, a really good example of an integrated policy there. There's clarity around what the issue is, a range of different measures. I'm particularly impressed that they are also have developed a profiling too. And I think, again, the link between education, skills and employability, I think, is quite noticeable. Patrick, I'd like to focus on two things that struck me in particular. I think the first is your use of customer insight to co-create some of the programs. This is something that PES sometimes struggle with, is using customer insight. It's still fairly fresh in the armory of many PES. Can you talk us through how in the Philippines you use customer insight to co-design the programs that you deliver to NEETs and to youth?
Thank you, Anton. One example I can provide is our experience in Job Start program I've mentioned earlier. So the Job Start program was an intervention that was through the assistance of the Asian Development Bank, previously under a technical assistance, but now fully funded by the Philippine government. And during the design stage of the program, part of what we need to make sure is that we get private sector collaboration, particularly in designing the modules, designing the modules and the internship program. And so we wanted to make sure that for the last two stages in the school to work transition, we have a closer interaction between our beneficiaries and the private sector to be able to make sure that what the industry requires, what skills are needed for them to be hireable, for them to be be placed, would be met through the intervention. Another thing, as it has already been implemented for a number of years now, what we're doing particularly this year is that we're rolling out a client feedback, and we're getting inputs on particularly for the beneficiaries, what they think are the advantages and disadvantages in the design, in the assistance provided to them throughout the cycle. We started with the provision of life skills training conducted by our PESOs, and after that 10 days life skills training, they are endorsed to the private sector companies, and the private sector have these training programs that are, of course, consulted by our PESOs and Technical Education Skills Authority. And all these, of course, inputs coming from the beneficiaries are included in how we're improving the design.
Thank you very much indeed. I mean, that's a really complicated ecosystem that you are trying to work with there. So I think many countries still struggle with that. So you're to be congratulated on grabbing the bull by the horns, as it were. And we are talking about bulls here. We will move to Uruguay, which is well known for its beefsteaks, of course. And I would like to pass you, Monsieur Pérez. The floor is yours.
Señor Daniel Pérez. Hello, everyone. I hope you put on your headphones in order to listen to the interpretation. First, I'd like to thank WAPES for this organization, and I'd like to thank Turkey and Azerbaijan for this organization. And together here in such a beautiful city like Antalya, I'd like to thank all my colleagues who have been accompanying me in this panel. I've been learning a lot. First, I'd like to tell you about the program we have, about our country. We have a really small country in South America. It's between Brazil and Argentina, and in the last match we have won 2-0 against Argentina. You probably know about our football. We're small. We're the smallest in South America. Our population is only 3 million, and the largest distance that you have to cross over in Uruguay is just 600 kilometers. So in my presentation, I'm going to give you certain quantities of money, but these might sound like insignificant compared to the numbers that we have heard here. So in terms of employment, we have 8% unemployment rate, and this is just 1% of more than what used to be before the pandemic, and analyzers are searching for the reasons of that, and we are trying to go back to the rates of unemployment that we used to have before the pandemic. And also we have quite a lot of informal employment, and we have more than 50% of informal unemployment in this area. And before the pandemic it was 27%, and now it has dropped down to 21%. And during the pandemic also we have lost certain real parts of the wages, but it's been like 2 months that we have recovered the minimum wage rates, which are similar to the rates before the pandemic. So we are doing certain advances, but we have quite a lot of challenges, because it's really there's a lot of inequalities involved in being a part of the labor market in Uruguay, and especially young people have a more difficulty in becoming a part of the labor market, and this is a problem that we have to solve. Now I'm going to present you a program. This is a program that we designed to get the youth in a part of the labor market. These days we have been listening to this concept NEET, N-E-E-T, and at some point in Uruguay in 2012, I was also part of the government at that time. We did this program called I Work and I Study and I Work, because this is basically an inversion of the concept in Spanish, neither working nor studying. So this program, I Work and I Study, is basically trying to provide young people between 16 to 20 years of age, and those are the young people who want to study, and also they want to have an employment opportunity. So also we want to strengthen their studying experience while strengthening the labor market. We want to strengthen their educational career and facilitate insertion into the labor market. This program is working together with an interinstitutional commission. It's involving Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Ministry of Education and Culture, Ministry of Social Development, National Institute of Youth, and National Secretariat of Care and Disabilities, and the National Administration of Public Education, which is basically providing the primary education and secondary education institutions. How about the recipients? We have two types of recipients. So one of them is the youth from 16 to 20 years of age. They have to be studying at the moment, and they have to maintain themselves at the educational life throughout all those years. And our other recipients are the public organisms, public bodies. For example, they want to provide a certain public, they want to employ public employees. So what do they want to do? They just want to incorporate their work into their workforce. They want to gain new blood, new energy. So they want to develop new modules. And so while we were studying and when we were taking the scholarship, our aim is to start working. But when we talk about all the richness of this program, we have to go through this program. And how is the financing of this program? Each public institution needs to participate in this program, and we are going to give a certain amount of money to this program. So it can be a scholarship, and it can be up to 200,000, and thus people can access this scholarship. So what kind of requirements are there for the companies? They cannot ask certain specific competences from the people who are going to apply for it, because people at this age, 16 to 20, they cannot have such competencies. So they can be given certain administrative jobs, but basically we are looking for improving their soft skills, and this is one of our objectives, because I cannot ask from a graduate of an economics department I cannot ask from a person who has not graduated from any of those departments, such as engineering or a specific skill. So the adolescents can register in this program, and then the assignment starts when they become a part of the scholarship. And this is basically, the scholarship is given through a lottery. And this lottery is done, and people who win this lottery get to become a part of this program, because it's not possible to choose the indicated person. What we do is giving those opportunities through a lottery. And now we are going to look at the positive qualifications of how this happens. First, we are going to make a call to the companies, and then we will ask them that they register in this program. And then once the documents are completed, for example, their addresses, their academic situation, and if they are a part of a certain public institution, and we shall also be asking for their job orientation, and thus the companies basically are picked according to the lottery, and so also the lottery will be matching people according to the hours that they study. So at this point, after winning the lottery, they become a part of the company, and then they go through this institutional committee, and they go to this institution, or they go to this company together with someone who accompanies them. So there are certain aspects that we would like to highlight about this universal entry mechanism. So there is no pre-selection process. It is, as I said, it's through a public draw. It's through a public lottery. So there are certain requisites. For example, 50% of them need to be young women, and we have certain other criteria as well. They need to be like 13.5% need to be vulnerable young people, especially who are from African descendants. Like 8% of those young people should be of African descent, 4% of those young people should be with disabilities, and 2% need to be trans young people. So we give more than 50% to the young women who participate. And also in the last round, we had 12% people of African descent. So we have overcome even the minimum requirements that we have put in this lottery. And then it goes through the interinstitutional committee. And let's look at the characteristics of the contract. So there is a maximum duration of 12 months. And so it will be like for 9 months, I will be putting this scholarship, and it's going to be between 20 to 30 hours per week. And so the young people who say that they would like to have a scholarship for 20 hours can do so. And we have certain tasks to be performed. And there will be a monthly remuneration, monthly payment of $573 for 30 hours. And this is close to the minimum wage in Uruguay. And people, if it's a pregnant woman or woman with children under 4 years of age, then in this case they receive a monthly salary of $859 for working 30 hours per week. So here, what do we want? We want to develop certain competencies, certain skills, certain soft skills. We want to give them more transversal skills. And we want them to be able to adapt to change. So there are certain committees, and their skills are being evaluated. And there is a consultant who is basically giving this evaluation in a more incorporated manner. And at the end, they receive a certificate. And this certificate is given through a tripartite commission in Uruguay, and they are also able to provide certain other occupational professional certificates. And in those through those scholarships, we have seen the impact of the program as well. We want through those professional workshops, we also want to give them the ability to speak English better. So what is the impact of the program? Here is an evaluation done by the World Bank about the impacts of our program. So after 2 years of applying the program, we have seen that they have their income is higher than the other young people in the same situation. So their formal income has increased by 8% in 2 years, and also their monthly salaries have increased by 6% in the non-formal sector. So they have a more they have a higher probability to complete their studies with the help of this scholarship and remuneration, and they have more chance to become a part of the labor market having completed these programs. We have seen no negative effects on their school grades, so it means that working for 20 hours is not basically interfering with their classes, and if there is too much of an if there's a conflict between the school hours and work, then it gets to be arranged accordingly. And here we see certain effects of our program. We basically see the journey of those who have participated in our program. There is a control group, and there is also the group that shows the results. So the orange line is the line that shows the women who have participated in our program, and also we have seen that they are contributed greatly to this program, which is also showing us that the gender gap is also being closed by the effect of this program, and also this has to reflect to the salaries as well. And to summarize, we can say that now the young people have acquired certain soft skills and certain transversal skills. So they will be having their first job experience, and Uruguay is a country where the first job experience is always a challenging one because it's a country with a high rate of unemployment. But with this program, we are wishing that the young people will have a better skill in the labor market, and now it was an experiment for the public sector, and we hope that the same experience gets to be done in the private sector as well. So there is a scholarship of $400, and the companies are trying to give this scholarship, and if when the young person gets to 25 years of age, then they can have the scholarship. Thank you very much.
We're running out of time for this session, so you will escape my hard questions. You'll be glad to hear. But I would like to certainly have an opportunity to talk to you about the lottery approach to actually giving out these positions. It's the first time I have ever come across that. I think it's a very, very interesting idea for a number of reasons, and I'm sure many in the audience would also be interested to see how that works from the question of efficacy, equality, and everything else. So be prepared to be kidnapped and pushed into a corner during the coffee break. I'd like to pass you to our final speaker, Losan, who will talk to us about the experience in Cambodia. Losan, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Hello. Yep. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, panelists, and good evening to our brother, sister working outside too. My name is Lo Sophearith. You can call me Lo. I'm from Cambodia. I am currently the deputy head of National Employment Agency of Cambodia, which is we call NEA or NEA. So my today topic is I just touch on NEET in Cambodia. There is a challenging and a solution for our Cambodian right now. Actually, Cambodia is a very kind of small country in Southeast Asia, and our NEA National Employment Agency, it just born 10 years ago. So far now it's just a 10 or 11 year toddler. And from the statistic, we can see that the need by age group, mostly it concentrates on the rural area. And And according to the labor force survey in 2019, there's a male who fall under NET is more than the female one, and mostly they are in the rural area. But if you look a bit backward 5 years ago, we can see that the number is even higher. And 2019, the number dropped. And according to the last data from the ILO, the number of the NET even smaller, approximately around 6% or 30,000. So here come from the result of our NEA work about how to reach out the information and alumni information dissemination to the rural area. So I will go further on that too. And about the labor supply in Cambodia. Cambodia in 2019, by census, is approximately 15 million people. But in 2023, the people will reach around 17 million people. In that, you can see the yearly increase is around 2.1%. And the age group growth rate, the age from 15 to 24 is growth rate by 2.3% per year. So it shows that Cambodia is kind of a lot of young working population and not yet the aging society. And here about the education. From this data, what I want to emphasize is look at the lower secondary school. Over there, there's a kind of early school leaver in our country because most of them, they finish the lower secondary school and they leave school. Maybe go to the farm or whatever. So in here, our government have designed a specific program to help them in this period. Lower secondary school or upper secondary school in Cambodia. No, lower secondary school is around 9th grade student. So there's the key challenges for Cambodia right now. We have high informality, even low unemployment. It means that most of our people work in informal sector. Even in Cambodia, there's an unemployment rate is below 1%, let's say around 1%. But most of them have the informal employment or informal or employability. So how to do that? Our government have a specific strategy and policy to help them. And number two, we need more FDI, more foreign direct investment. 3, with the structural change, economic growth, it demand more skill in technology and in mechanic. Mostly Cambodian people, we have like a skill on the farm or limit of skill resource. And we have TVET in Cambodia, a lot of TVET, both private TVET and public TVET institute, around 100 institute. But the TVET has a quality need to be focused and not coverage the area, not really, how to say, all over the country yet. And there's a hard skill and soft skill gap. Even though we have the people have skill to work, but a lot of things need to be concerned, like soft skill, complaint handling, communication, so on and so forth. And the last one, the resource for our NEA itself. As I mentioned, NEA is just 10 years old, around 10 years old, born in 2010. And we have a limit in terms of people and skill. So this is a new strategy for our government. The newly government around, we call a 7-mandate government. It come up with the polygon strategy. The previous government, we have only rectangle strategy, but now polygon strategy. In the strategy, they have a lot of core strategy issue and work program. But in there, there's 2 things to be prioritized. One is TVET. The other one is NEA. So in TVET, they focus on the human capital development about TVET. So in there, the TVET itself, they come up with some priority. One is RPL, recognize prior learning. Of course, Cambodia a lot of Cambodian people, migrate to work in other country, like to Thailand, to Japan, to Korea. But what happened to them when they come back to the country? They're staying there 5 years, 10 years to work. So when they come back, do they have to have something to certify them? Or are there a certificate for them that they can use up their skill? And number two, there's a training program for 1.5 million people. Because that we can speak in the lump sum number, there's a 1.5 million youth out there. So this meant that we focus on training 1.5 million the youth who come from the poor family or vulnerable family. So they can register with TVET, they training, they got a stipend, and they got a job. So they can go to TVET, they got trained, they got a better job. And when they got a job, they have to do some reskilling or upskilling. So once they come to TVET, 3 months or 4 months, they go back to work, they need to come again to upskill them. So the company need to send them. And the second one is about NEA, our NEA, National Employment Agency. So currently, our NEA focus on, we have two to work. One is to disseminate alumni. The second one is to provide the employment service. So there we have the career guide, we have the career fair, job fair, local job kind of career forum at the local level, commune or provincial level. We have the career fair in the university. But this meant that there's two new strategy. One is career ambassador. We can say career ambassador or career focal point. This career ambassador we will have until at every upper secondary school. The idea is that if the student, the boy or the girl, they want to leave the school earlier, we have the career guidance to help them, like to bring like the bridging course to TVET. So there's TVET over there too, to help them. Because we have to accept that in our countries, some students, they can study until upper secondary school, and they leave school. Go to work at the factory to earn some money, or go to the field to help their parents. And to achieve their bio mission, right now NEA we have 14 job center. One in Phnom Penh, and the other 13 at the province. This job center as a frontline service to deliver the public employment service to the people, to those who are looking for a job, and to those who need employee, who need the staff. And we have another 3 mobile job center. It's by car. So the 3 mobile job center, they function as an intervention job center. So sometimes some job center, it cannot reach to some area. So our mobile job center can go there. Or on the request of the commune or on the request of the employer, we can arrange and go there to do interview. And right now, recently, our mobile job center, they play one important role. They go out every day to the university to disseminate the job vacancy and to collect the CV from our students. At the same time, to provide the career counseling to them. So it's very. And on the top of that, our NEA work very closely with our partner to do that. As I mentioned earlier, that we are just 10 years old, so we have a lot of things to learn with the limited resource, human resource and the skill. We work with the Japan, like for example, Japan Web Joint Project. There we improve our employment service. We put the performance assessment in place, the customer inside. We try to put that the timeliness, the information we provide, the information very accurate to both job seeker or employer, and how long do they spend in our job center, so on and so forth. And with the Swiss International Development Agency, we have another program start from 2021 to 2023. It's about inclusive labor market in Cambodia, which to support the disabled people to work. And with the Korean employment, to develop the CPAS system, what we call Cambodian Public Employment Service. It's about alumni, and have many more donors to work with. So, without taking more time, thank you so much, and I welcome for your question.
Losam, thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you. I think one of the drawbacks of Turkish food is that you spend a lot longer than you should do at lunch eating it. So because of that, we're running way behind schedule, I think, and therefore, Losam too, you will escape my very difficult questions, but there will be, I'm sure, people in the audience who will want to corner you around particularly your use of development organizations to increase your capacity, your partnerships, and also your use of your mobile job centers to extend into rural areas. How do those work? How are they evaluated? How do they engage with local needs? In terms of wrap up, I think the key take-homes for this session are that whilst there are a number of common elements of NEETs, there are also some very real differences. What I really enjoyed about our contributions today were that we saw very clear examples of preventative measures, particularly on the engaging with school and education. So a big emphasis on prevention there. From the Philippines in particular, the importance of making sure that you try to head the problem off at the pass by working with young kids at school and providing them with a good, clear pathway into sustainable training or work. I particularly liked Daniel's example there. I still can't get over this lottery business. I'm going to find out exactly how that works because I do think it's very, very interesting. But also the use of transversal competencies as well. And if we had more time, we would explore that in terms of how you can assess transversal competencies with informal work as well, because I think that in particular is important. And we heard that from our friend from Senegal in particular. From Senegal, I did very much enjoy the very innovative supply side points there that he made. So essentially creating work through import substitution, creating work by engaging MSMEs and ensuring that artisans in particular got a good bite of the apple and were able to compete with larger imports to support young disadvantaged people. And last but not least, around sustaining employment. So all of our delegates here talked about the importance of upskilling and making sure that young people could become more productive and resilient in their work. So I would like to thank you personally for some really great conversation and a round of applause for our contributors. Thank you very much, panelists.
Yes, thank you so much to all panelists. Thank you so much to you, Anton, for moderating this session. Yes, we will go for a short coffee break and we will meet here at 3:55, and then we will have the chance to go into our last panel, panel number 6, which will allow us to have a look into the future for public employment services on the topic of NEETs.